Live. We are live. We are live, you all. I have a treat for y'all today. Let me take my time, fix myself up because I am in the company of three beautiful, young, aspiring people of color. So, before I go any further, let me get to the interlude and start you off with welcome to Third Eye Visions, where we motivate the blind, stimulate your mind, and welcome all kinds. Today's discussion: blind people have difficult times becoming gainfully employed. I have three guests, Gabby, Chelsea, and Jessica, who are going to join me with this topic. Before we're gonna have some fun today, but before we do that, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I need you all's approval. Let me know if you like it. I'll even take some dislikes and comment and share. So let me welcome my guest, and then I'll get you a little history as to how we got here. So with that, without further ado, ladies, I want you to welcome to Third Eye Visions, and I want you to tell the audience who you are, what you do, and the name of your channel. And we'll let, since it's Chelsea's show, I'm gonna let her go first. Then we'll let Jessica and Gabby go. So go ahead.
Hey, my name is Chelsea. I am currently a junior in college, and I'm trying to make a name for myself, and I have my own YouTube channel. It's honestly just called Chelsea Reed.
It's
So,
called what? It's
yeah,
called what?
Chelsea Reed. Yeah,
Okay.
plain and simple.
Okay. Plain and simple. Okay. Jess.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm 20. I'm also a college junior. I make YouTube videos as well, predominantly just talking about the aspects of being blinded in college, because I feel like there's a severe lack of that on YouTube, as well as a lack of YouTubers of color. I am of color. I know it's shocking if you're blind. I sound obnoxiously white, but I'm not. My channel is also just my name, Jessica Krim, because I'm original like that. Feel free to subscribe.
Okay. Next.
Hey guys, it's Gabby. I also have a YouTube channel. I'm 21 years old, currently in college. I'm going to be a senior in the fall. And I have my channel because I want to talk a lot about my experience as a blind person, help other blind individuals. So feel free to subscribe. It's Gabriela Mendonza. We're just original over here, keeping it plain and simple.
I like that. I like that. Three original females who are aspiring and trying to do something with their lives. Now, since Chelsea is the focal point because she appeared on the Breakfast Club last year and she received some criticism for her, demeanor and delivering whatever they talked about. But today, she, along with her friends, are here to clear up a few things, and then we'll move on from that particular topic. So our discussion ties into all of this. So let me play this clip, and then we will be can't talk today. We will be back with our discussion. So y'all hold tight. Let me play this clip, and you'll see why we're here.
But I kind of wanted to talk about what's been happening in my life lately. All right. All right. So here we go. So last week on Wednesday, I called into a radio show. It's called The Breakfast Club. It's on Power 105.1. And so I called in to express how I was feeling, because they have this segment called Get It Off Your Chest. So I called to get some things off my chest. Mostly that it's hard for people who are blind or visually impaired or who have any disability to get jobs. And they were like, oh, no offense, but I wouldn't hire you to watch my child, because it was like, oh, hi, I'm calling because it's hard for me, my blind and visually impaired friends to get jobs, especially babysitting. Now, I wasn't going to linger on babysitting, but, they kind of jumped on that wagon, and they were like, oh, I wouldn't hire you to babysit my child because you're blind. And they kept on saying that, you're blind, Chelsea. And it kind of made me feel bad. But I was like, it's fine. You're a parent. That is your right to hire someone that's blind, to hire someone that's sighted, to hire someone who is deaf, to hire someone who has autism, tire anyone that you choose, basically. And so I wasn't lingering on that, but I was like, so you look up to people in the entertainment world, like Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, and countless other, but you don't trust them to watch your kids. And then they were like, watch, and they kind of like went into a whole laughing fit that because I said the word watch. Like, if blind people don't say the word watch, it's part of the English language. It's part of our daily language. What makes them think, what makes anyone think that we wouldn't use the word look, watch, see, observe? There's more than one way to observe or to retain information. You know, it doesn't have to always be through sight.
All right. Great. Now, Chelsea, it's unfortunate that the Breakfast Club sort of blew things out of proportion because you wanted to talk about the difficulties of getting a job, correct?
Yes.
Now, with that being said, explain, because we don't want to dwell too much on it. Explain to briefly how you feel that babysitting was still, and at that time, a job that blind people can perform. And do you still feel that way?
Absolutely. In fact, I probably believe it even more because of the connections I made after that whole debacle. Um, so here's what happened. I was calling because I wanted a job because being in college, it's a lot of expenses, and especially for people who are residential.
Hmm.
And so I just wanted to find a job, but every time I looked on Indeed, which is a very great website for looking up jobs, um, I would always see that it said, "Oh, must be able to drive," and I was like, "Well, that kind of made me upset because I was like, what happened to the great old days where you can stay home with someone's child and creatively think of different activities like I don't know, drawing, like hide and seek, tag around the house, things that are secure." And I mean, of course, I would take their child out to the park, but like now it seems like they want a chauffeur and a babysitter at once.
Hmm. Okay. Um, my question to you to the other guests is how do you all feel that people well, we'll just use babysitting because that's what she was focusing on, Jessica. How do you feel that people doubt our abilities as far as that, at least that particular job? How do you feel about that situation?
I honestly think it's really toxic. I think there's a lot of misnomer around anything regarding blindness because people can't fathom the idea that we can succeed in focus without sight, you know? They think it's crazy. It's in every little thing, it's in every little comment that gets made where we do one thing and it's like the biggest deal ever. Whereas if it was sighted or a sighted person did it, it would honestly be no big deal. And in terms of babysitting,
Mhm.
people have this huge misnomer that you need sight to babysit. And that's not true. There are totally blind couples raising both blind and sighted children and they make it work. But because we're not in the media, because we're not in the spotlight, because when people think of blindness, they think of these fetizations and these misnomers regarding That's why it's such a stigma that we can't do honestly anything.
Gabby, great point.
Um, I agree with everything. I feel like it's just this idea that, and I talk a lot about this too because I feel like a lot of sighted people have this idea that, okay, you're clearly not capable of doing anything. You can't have a job, you can't be employed. And after all this happened, I felt really discouraged too, just because it really makes you think about, okay, am I really doing anything to help make a change? What am I doing that is so wrong? And I feel like that's why Chelsea felt the way that she felt because she loves kids. She wanted to go into the field having to do with kids. And after being told, like, I would never let you take care of my children, it's like, actually, I've actually taken care of a lot of children before. So, um, yeah, I don't, I just, it really is toxic. I think it's really toxic.
I strongly agree. Because I babysat kids as well, and I did a great job at doing that. But we're not really, I just want to basically focus on this aspect because that was what Chelsea had been talking about. But that definitely doesn't, it is possible that as we sum this part up, that blind people can definitely babysit and what have you. Now, asking you, Chelsea, as far as the availability of jobs and what have you, what other jobs do you think blind people are capable of doing? And then I'll ask you out too. We'll go around the table and ask. But Chelsea, what other jobs do you feel that blind people, are really capable of doing?
Well, I feel like blind people are capable of being lawyers. There's actually blind people that are doctors, psychologists, like Jess wants to be, um, and there's like multiple jobs that I feel that blind people can do. Blind people can work in a police station. It doesn't mean that they can. I mean, even if they probably could, but like I honestly think that they could work there as a secretary or anything. And so I think sky's the limit, especially with this day and age. Before they used to have people with disabilities literally in rooms and institutions. We've come a far way. Now
Hmm.
the thing is,
Yeah.
we need to keep on coming a far way, and we can't let those ignorant people, like I won't shout out some people,
Right.
but we can't let those ignorant people like make us think that we can't do it. And that's the thing. I honestly, when I heard that response, I was like, wait, maybe I can't do it. But then I got so much responses, positive responses, negative ones too, but we're not going to talk about them because the haters going to hate.
That's right.
But
Right.
Exactly.
the fact is that lots of people were like, I am a blind person and I have this much kids, that in like they need to take that into account, that blind people, they reproduce, we reproduce. That's how there's multiple of us.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, the people that they look up to, like Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, they all have children and they're all successful. I don't think that those are the only people, but the fact is that's the ones that the media shines a light on. The people that can
Hmm.
do, can play the piano, the people that can play instruments. That's
Hmm.
what we're known for, which sucks because we can do so much more than play the piano and sing a little
Exactly.
song.
That
Wait,
is
Right.
so true.
Jess,
Honestly,
go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, sorry, I wasn't sure. Were you done there?
No, go ahead. Oh,
Yeah, no,
Okay,
no, I'm done. I'm done.
gotcha.
okay.
Going, this is what we do. No, going back to your original question, I think a big reason for the lack of, yeah, number one, blind people can do anything, but I think a lot of reasons for our unemployment is because people don't think about making the necessary accommodations, and that's what the sad
Hmm.
thing is, right? We are
Right.
just as capable of doing anything as anyone else. We have, my biggest fear. I'm really intelligent. I'm studying social work, and I'm terrified that I'm going to get a job. No, what am I saying? I'm going to do really well in undergraduate, get my MSW, get licensed, so LMSW, maybe even a PhD, and still not get hired because I am a brown disabled woman.
That's a
Those are
great point.
marginalization
Hmm.
groups, and
Hmm.
it's terrifying. And I think 70% of blind and visually impaired people are unemployed. Let's just put that statistic out there because it's true.
Hmm.
And a big reason for that is because we need, regardless, we're going to need some kind of accommodation, whether that's a screen reader or, honestly, yeah, screen reading or access to technology or just different ways of doing things or adapting a room so we can make it work for us. And employers see us and they don't see that. They don't see what we have to offer, because I will tell you, as blind people, I've talked to Gabby and Chelsea, we have to advocate, we have to question, we have to do a million and one things to make things work for us. We should be the best people for the job because we know what it's like to fight, but people see
Hmm.
our
Okay.
canes, our dogs, they hear our stories, and they don't see someone that they consider competent. And that's a really big reason for unemployment in the blind community, because they don't want to take the steps to make their company equitable and make their
Hmm.
worthy of hiring diverse disabled candidates.
And that's what I was going to get to next, but I want to let Gabby finish answering that question.
So I feel like there's there's so much discrimination when it comes to looking for a job. I've had it happen to me, and Chelsea and Jessica can tell you I was like heartbroken by it, because when you want something and you work so hard to get to that point where you're like, okay, I feel successful, I feel like I'm doing everything I can in my power, I'm advocating, I'm really putting myself out there. And first of all, let's talk about briefly how as blind people we have to put ourselves out there even more than the average person does.
Ooh,
Okay,
y'all
we
are
have
y'all definitely touching on some topics that I was going to have questions ask the questions. But go ahead, Gabby. Good point. Go ahead.
I feel like we have to really put ourselves out there, and we already put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. All three of us can tell you we have anxiety when it comes to asking people to help us with stuff.
With anything.
And so it's like when it comes to a job, your place of employment, it shouldn't be a matter of, oh, I don't think you're capable, because how do you know if I'm not capable if you never even gave me a chance? You never even said,
Can I say something, Gabs? I know. I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say like it, and I'm don't want to like cut you off, and I really do apologize, but that reminds me so much of not only just that you're talking about the sighted world, but it really even hurts when it's our own people, like
yes,
who do that to us.
yes.
I feel like the majority of successful blind individuals are white. They're all white. The majority of them are white, and they hold this power over us. And as someone that's of color, it's weird for me to go into a space of blind people that don't think I'm of color and have to validate that and see me as an equal, because sorry.
Okay. But,
We're like going on a tangent.
No, we're good. Let me let everyone know who's just joining us. We are speaking with the caller from the Breakfast Club, Chelsea, and her friends, and we're speaking on the topic that blind people do have a difficulty finding gainful employment. Why do you all think that? I know y'all probably covered it, just in a few statements, but why do you all think? Chelsea, you would go first. That blind people do have difficulty finding jobs. Just briefly, in your own words, why do you think that there's a difficulty?
I think that blind people have a difficulty finding jobs because the first thing people see. So whenever you go into a building or any employment place, the first thing people see is how you move, and the first thing they see is your cane or your guide dog or whatever tool you use, and so they're like, okay, she's automatically, or he's automatically, or they are automatically a liability because I don't want that on my hands. Then they come up to you and they're like, okay, hi, and they have to pretend to be okay with it, because if they discriminate against you, then they can be charged for discrimination.
Exactly.
What about you,
And
Jess?
the thing is,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead,
The
boo.
thing
Go
is,
ahead.
they think about like all of the, like Jess said earlier, they think about all of the accommodations they have to do, and they're like, okay, I don't want to do that. She's going to cost me more money than it's really worth. I rather hire someone who can actually do this without much assistance, and that really sucks because I know a lot of blind people, a lot of people who have disabilities in general, who are really, really talented, who are really, really smart, and they're still white, colored, or Spanish or Hispanic or whatever. They're still waiting for employment, and that's what really scares me, because if they are very adept at their job and what they want to do, what about people who are like me that are just like little lambs, meaning innocent and fresh meat to the whole system.
Great point.
Exactly. I think that's such a good point. But honestly, I agree with you. But I think the biggest reason for a lack of unemployment or employment, sorry, is lack of awareness. We are not
Mm,
as positive in the media. We are not seen as capable people.
right.
If you look on YouTube alone, the majority of blind people are successful, rich, white people who can just kind of get assistance and get things done for them and not have to really work as hard as us. And I think that the public sees this and puts up this idea or has this idea that we can't do anything. So that normally when we go into a job or when we meet a sighted person, it's their first interaction with us. They don't know what to do with us. They see us as helpless. I mean, even going into college, I've had friends be like, wow, I didn't expect you to be like this. And I'm like, well, yeah, because this is what the media looks like. I mean, you look at the CW show In the Dark. We are all sex addicts who have no lives and mistreat our dogs because, yeah, that's the problem. There are so few of us, and that when we are on display like this, it's never in a positive light. So people don't even know what the reality of blind people is because we never get to see it. They never get to see it because so often we are made for fodder and we are made to be seen as if we are helpless, as if we are weak, and as if we aren't capable. So when we do come in with these degrees and these accolades, they can't even fathom it because they've never seen it before.
Great point. Great, Gabs. Great point.
I agree with everything. I feel like, you know, when you walk into a building, first impression is a lasting impression. And a lot of
Yes.
people, especially for people like us who have disabilities, first of all, people of color with disabilities, we already have that one stereotype that's already against us. They're like, oh, you see a brown-skinned girl, you see a light-skinned girl, you see a black girl walking in. Oh, but on top of that, she also is blind. She's using a cane. And it's a matter of getting accommodations. People don't want to adapt to be able to help other people. It's just like having this closed mindset of being like, oh, but they're different from me. They don't work the same way I do. No, you're right. We don't. We work a little bit harder than you would have to because we have to, like I said before, well, yeah, but we have to put in so much. Yeah, we have to prepare mentally. We have to put ourselves in the mindset of like, okay, this is the task that I have to, take on. And
Right.
I feel like it makes I think about it a lot because I'm always in situations where I'm around a lot of sighted people. Nobody else in my family is blind, so they don't understand the fact that dealing with things sometimes isn't going to be the way that they would deal with it. And yes, it might take us a little bit more time to adapt to something, but that doesn't mean that we're slower. That doesn't mean that we have to, you have to teach us in a different way. I've had a lot of people tell me that, oh, because you have accommodations, you work a lot slower, you need more help, which isn't true.
Great point. And I want to let people know that who are just joining us that this is not a pity party or anything. We're just basically
No, yeah.
It's the truth, though. I mean, honestly, going up real quick, going off of what Gabby said, when we do get these opportunities, I can't speak for you two, but like whenever I'm in a situation where I get like, I've gotten internships, I've gotten jobs, into really, really, really competitive colleges, and I always think there's always a moment in my head like, so are they hiring me? Are they employing me? Do they want me because I'm a decent student? I've got good work ethic. My resume is good. Or are they doing it to fill this quota? And it's such a toxic mindset, but it's what society does to us. It ingrains into our culture that you have to stand out. And if you don't stand out, you're not worthy. But when you do stand out and
you're
you get
different,
it makes you think like, why am I this? And that's what typecasting is. Let's be real.
Now, that's a great point. Though y'all are really putting out some good points today, and I appreciate that. Though we are having difficulty finding jobs, some of us. Let's talk about certain things that blind people can use or do, in order when they're searching for jobs, in order to kind of make things a little smoother, if we can at times. Chelsea, do you having? Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, we lost Chelsea. We're gonna bring her back on here for a second.
Yeah.
Just hold tight. Hold tight. Things do happen, y'all. Okay. You're back, Chelsea?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. We were talking about still talking about the difficulties of finding a job. What are some things that we could probably do as blind people to make the job search much easier, go much smoother and when we're actually out there looking for jobs and we're not. You have any suggestions, Chelsea?
I think that blind people need to teach blind
She's
people.
muted.
Go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yeah, well, we got you.
No, she's not muted. She was just talking.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
I didn't hear her.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Can everybody hear me?
I could hear you.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, I can't hear you at all.
Okay, yeah, hold on.
Jess, maybe try leaving and coming back.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
try that. And while she's doing that, you can answer the question, Chelsea, and
All
then
right,
Gabby.
cool.
I
So
mean,
what I was saying, you said it right. Don't worry. So what I was saying is that like I think that blind people should teach blind people. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that so many times sighted people are teaching us, and that's all good and fun. But like, I feel like in order to like, if a musician is going to teach a musician, a upcoming musician, you know, a doctor is going to teach a new doctor. So why isn't a blind person or a person of any disability teaching their own disability? And I feel as if like some companies, some programs do have it right where they
Mm-hmm.
have blind teaching the blind. However, I do feel that if someone's not comfortable with doing something, you need to respect their wishes. You know, um, and I say that because I've seen and I'm using that word seen people do this um
okay,
where they get upset because just because they're teaching you and they're blind, they think that what their it's their way or the highway.
that's
And
true.
like I
That's
said, I'm not calling out names. I'm just saying that
Mm-hmm.
that's just the way it seems to be. And
Exactly.
I
okay.
think that like if we've been taught, if we are taught by blind people and they accept us like that we come in red, white, blue, and green, then I think that the media will see, hey, they are actually embracing their own. They're actually trying to promote their own, you know,
Okay.
and help each other. That's why I want to become a teacher for the visually impaired, because I want to show that little girl who's blind or that little boy who's blind that they can be anything they want to be, including a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, or what have you, you know?
Okay. Great point.
Exactly. I'm
Great.
back,
Mm-hmm.
by the way. Sorry,
All right,
technical
that's right.
difficulties.
Go ahead. You pick it back off her.
Yeah, sure. So the question was just to clarify what
Things that we could do, and
to help.
maybe
Okay.
to help when we go out looking for jobs or any certain things that make the things better for employers and things of that nature. So, what do you
I definitely
Oh,
think that the
go ahead?
sorry.
Go
We
ahead,
are
Jess.
live. We are
All
live.
right, gotcha. Sorry. Okay. I definitely think the biggest thing that you can do as a blind person is to talk to people that have been there before you and that
Yes.
have kind of paved the way. I'm a social work major. I start kind of field work this fall where I'm just kind of doing the job of a social worker. I'm working with people, and I've contacted a lot of blind social workers just to have a conversation and be like, hey, listen, these are my questions. This is what I need you to do. Let me know your tips, tricks, suggestions, so that way you can go into it having that knowledge and those skills, because if you go into it not knowing what you're doing, it conveys a lack of confidence, and it makes that employer, whoever they may be, trust you even less. They see blindness, and then it's like, if you don't know what you're doing, well, why would I hire you? So I think that for me,
Mm-hmm.
That's
having
good.
that support system, going out and making those connections, and also just having people to turn to when you're like, oh, I have a problem with this or this or this, and seeing people that have come before you and being able to talk to them and be like, what do I do? How do I make it work? And that's another thing we advocate, and that's that's something employers don't see, that we have to figure things out in ways that sighted people just have never had to do. But yeah, reach out, because someone's done it before you and they'll have a wealth and breadth of knowledge to engage you with.
Great point. Okay, Gab.
I feel like if you know somebody who has that specific disability, whether it's blindness, anything, I feel like this is where job shadowing comes in handy, because me wanting to be on radio, I know somebody who was on radio, and having the option to connect with people who are, you know, dealing with things, dealing with the discriminations, the stereotypes, all of that. It's like you really get to see, okay, what do I do when I'm in a situation like this? But then I also want to say, when you are applying for a job, you know, they talk a lot about disability disclosure. But how do I know if I disclose my disability, will that change my chances of me being able to get this job?
Great point.
You know?
Exactly. Oh my God, that's such a good point. I have so many things to say on that, but I'll let you get to the next question.
Great. Well, we kind of, touch bases on a lot of things. As we sum it up, I'm gonna let you all do like a little 2 minute roundup because we definitely can put some things out there that we can explore as blind people, as people who have other impairments as well, and what have you. I mean, and that will definitely open up a lot of people's minds and eyes, and that's my attempt as well. And also, there are different agencies y'all can mention in y'all closing
Yeah.
that people can maybe reach out to as well in their particular states and what have you. So with that being said, I'm gonna let Chelsea, then
Jess.
Jessica, then Gabby do y'all wrap up. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Okay, so just to sum it up, I think that employers need to know blind people, as well as other people with disabilities, can rise to the occasion and can, do the job with accommodations. And don't be afraid to help those people get those accommodations. And another thing for blind people or any people seeking employment, it's important to know to reach out to someone and to like make sure when once you're up there to reach a hand down to grab someone that that is also
Mhm.
looking
That's a
for
good
that
point.
job.
Great point.
Because
Mhm.
once you get there, don't forget the people that
Right.
that also need help.
Okay.
And that's what I have to say.
Okay. Great point. Jess, excuse me.
I just think to wrap up, I always tell people this, like, if you see a disabled person, go up to them, say hello, ask them questions. Most of us are fine with questions as long as they're phrased nicely and you care. Because if you don't know something, ask. We'd rather have you ask than make these
Assumptions.
fumbles and make these assumptions about us and
Mhm.
change your mind, you know?
Yes.
The
Okay.
problem with employment. Blind people, so oftentimes we don't get our foot in the door because people don't even bother to ask. So ask, learn, figure it out, and you guys can grow together. And it will make you such a more well rounded employer if you
Right.
take the initiative to hire someone with a disability. And it'll make you stand out because it's like, hey, look at what we're doing. And hopefully it will make more companies follow.
Great point.
Mhm.
Okay. Gabs.
I agree, and I feel like with that also, just please, if you know somebody who has a disability, it's not just about being able to ask questions, but don't have this mindset where you pity us. You know, we a lot of
Mhm.
us don't like to be babied and don't like to be pitied. A lot of us are
Mhm.
very independent people who are thriving and really trying to make a name and just get use our voices. But also, Jess, you mentioned something about just with with I think it was about employment. But even with that, it's like, ask questions. I would rather you ask me questions, because I feel like when you make these assumptions, you're just going based off of what you think you might know.
Exactly.
And um also just, and it's not just to even be about employment. It could be about anything, you
True.
know. It could
Mhm.
be about social situations. We've all three of us
Mhm.
have been in social situations where it's been like, are they not talking to me because I'm blind? Are they intimidated? So ask me a question. I'm a very friendly person. I love
Same.
talking to people and networking and connecting. So please feel just I would, please, anybody you
That's
know with
actually
a
how we met
disability.
Anthony because,
Just
Exactly.
ask. Like,
Yeah, that's how we met
yeah.
Anthony, because you know, we got a network and we really do need to help each other out. All three of us, we did a video on my channel. Just the last thing I'm gonna say, we did a video on my channel talking about just why it's important to have a closer group in the blind community, specifically because we kind of all are trying to get somewhere, you know, and I would rather us support each other than tear each other down and compete with one another.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
Great,
that is like the
great.
perfect thing to end
Yes,
on.
exactly. Great point. I don't need to say no more. I really want to thank y'all. Before I go, I want you all to give y'all names of the YouTube channel, and I'm gonna get the links from y'all. I'm gonna put them in the links because these girls are very well spoken. They're going places, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to speak to you all before you all made y'all moves in life. And I wish y'all the best of life in life, and whatever else that I can do for you, y'all definitely welcome. So with that being said, Chelsea, since this is your show, you tell everybody where you can be found ingesting the gal.
Okay, so the name of my YouTube channel is called Chelsea Reed, and it's basically me saying things that I really like, and I talk about multiple things, and I just show you how I'm like anyone else. I'm
mhm.
very unique, and I am weird, and you can join me on my adventure. So
Okay.
I'll
Awesome.
send the link to Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So mine's also my name, Jessica Karim, JESSICAKARIM. It's honestly just me. I pretty much just talk. I talk about books. I talk about tags I like. I do TV show reviews because I'm a nerd. I talk a lot about college and blindness and advocacy. And yeah, subscribe.
Okay.
Mine is Gabriella Mendonca. That's Gabriella with two L's, Mendonca. I talk about blindness. I take you guys on some fun adventures when I want to do my vlogs. And it's just a lot of fun. We also do a lot of collabs on
Oh
my
yeah.
channel as well. So feel free to subscribe and check it out. I'm gonna give Anthony the link. So
Okay, cool. All right, then, Gab, thanks again. Jessica, thanks again. Chelsea, and I'm glad that you're over that Breakfast Club debacle and what have you. So, thanks for y'all. I couldn't get to too much of the comments because I was doing too many things at one time, but y'all can check it out in the replay, and I can see y'all link, or y'all should have subscribed, not just y'all, all my audience. But thanks y'all for the subscribers, and make sure tomorrow to tune in. I got my man Z coming through. He's gonna be making some tea cakes. We're gonna do this thing live and what have you. So if y'all don't know what tea cakes or y'all need to tune in and whatnot. So again, thanks for tuning in Third Eye Visions, where we motivate the blind, stimulate your mind, and welcome all kind. And I am out. Man, y'all were good.